My second guest of the day, Austin Butler. He stars as Elvis in the movie Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann. It is in cinemas on the 24th of June. What a time to be you. You must be high as a kite. It must be just fantastic.
I'm just over the moon right now. I also got to say, as soon as I heard I was coming to London, the first question I asked my publicist was, am I going to get to do Graham Norton? Because you are my absolute favorite.
Oh,
I just adore you, and I love
right
watching
back at
your
you.
show.
No,
Thank
you're
you.
the best. You're the best. So here's the thing. If people don't know, the film just was at Cannes. People can't say enough things about you. Obviously, when you're making the film, you're in the moment. And even if you look at dailies or rushes, you know, Baz Luhrmann doesn't leave a moment of this film kind of unexamined and altered and changed. What was it like when you sat down and watched your performance, watched the whole film?
It was the most magical night of my life. I hadn't seen the film, and So
the first time you saw it was with an audience?
First time was with the audience in Cannes. I'd never been to Cannes before, and Baz had asked me if I wanted to watch it by myself prior, and I thought, you know, I've waited this long. It would be the most magical thing I could possibly imagine if I sit down in that palais and finally get to see this film that I've spent the last 3 years obsessing about. And suddenly I was there, and there's a moment midway through Act 1 where I just took a deep sigh, because I'd felt so much pressure and tension and all this fear, and suddenly I thought, oh, here it is. And you feel... I just, like I was saying to you before we went on the air, it was the first time I was able to watch myself and not judge in the way that I usually do. Because usually you see yourself, and I still always have things I'm like, I wish I did that or that. But with this, I was like, I was able to watch it as an audience member in a way. And
what you do and what Baz Luhrmann do, and I've never seen it before, you really capture, because I never saw Elvis live, but I feel now I have, because they really capture that I don't know, that electricity, that whatever it is of him performing. That moment. So when you're the young Elvis, I told you this would happen. I just talk at you for 20 minutes. I'll get to a question in a minute after I've got you. But when you're the young Elvis, you kind of, you look like Austin Butler. Then there's a moment when you come to the TV special, the kind of, the leather-clad TV special, and the camera finds you, and I was like, whoa, like... So what had they done to you? Have they changed you, or is that just you acting? What had happened?
Yeah, so there's, for one, I had the most incredible prosthetics team. And so they did very subtle prosthetics to just age my face up. And we did so many tests, because it's easy to take that too far, and suddenly that's what your eye is focusing on. So we had to find that subtle thing that just makes you feel older, and so that's what we did with that. And then it was honestly just studying how his movements changed over the years, and how his voice changed over the years. And so I just did just endless amount of research and obsession on that. And
we must also tell people, one of the extraordinary things about your performance isn't just that, but it is you singing. It is you doing the singing. Was that a kind of a let's see how it goes thing? We're like Baz Luhrmann going, yeah, you're going to sing. And he's kind of in the back of his mind going, oh, well, I can always, dub it afterwards. Or was it always going to be you?
Well, from the very beginning, Baz knew that the acetate recordings of the 50s they're all mono, so we couldn't use those in the film. So the 50s, we knew, he knew we were going to have somebody sing that. And so he had thought, well, maybe we hire somebody who sounds, just like Elvis or this or that. And this is before he met me. And I never was a singer. I would sing I would serenade a girlfriend or something, but I would never sing in front of anybody else. And so when it came time to actually meet with Baz and stuff, I just worked on my voice like crazy. I just obsessed about it. And we had about 5 months before I was officially cast where we would experiment and try, me singing Suspicious Minds, or me singing Hound Dog, or me singing Don't Be Cruel, or whatever it was. And then by the time that it got to filming, and Baz threw me in the deep end. We went to Nashville, and the first time I ever was in a recording studio was in Elvis's old recording studio there in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And they had shipped in the actual machinery that he had recorded Heartbreak Hotel on, and I recorded Heartbreak Hotel my first day in a recording studio on that. It was unbelievable. I had chills the whole time.
That sequence when you're developing when Elvis is developing the Vegas sound, and you're going through the band, and I mean, do you know enough about music to know what you were doing in that sequence?
You know, the crazy thing about that sequence was we had, for about 7 months prior to filming that, we had a pre-recorded track with a click. And so I would have 4 bars of the piano coming in, 4 bars of the drums, 4 bars of this or that. And the day of, we started doing it to the click track. And Baz, for the first time, I looked over and I saw that there was something on his face. And he said, you know what? This isn't working. Let's, would you mind doing it live, Elvis? And he goes, could you, he said, are these all real musicians? And the musical director, Elliot, said, yeah, they are. And he said, their instruments are muted though. And he said, well, can we unmute their instruments and have them do it live? And so you have to orchestrate them. And then he told all the musicians, I want you to intentionally play it wrong. And so I almost had a panic attack. We did it the first time and it all fell flat on its face. And then then hair and makeup comes up and everything. You're surrounded. And I said, guys, I need 10 minutes. I need to go off by myself for a second. I went into the dressing room and I just had this pep talk with myself where I said, you know, this isn't about it being perfect. This isn't about your idea of what this scene should be. This is about being present with the music and feeling what it feels like to have something in your mind and have to get the sound. So I know what it is and they don't. And so I went out there and then I spent as much time as I needed to with the pianist until he got what was right in my head. And then suddenly this transcended what I thought that scene was. And it was one of the most magical days on set.
But then to watch it in Cannes and see what happened to it, I mean, it's such a brilliant sequence. And very quickly, just before we're going to listen to some the actual Elvis. Did he call you Elvis all the way through?
He would kind of go back and forth. He'd call me Os or Elvis, or, you know, because that's the thing it's about merging my soul with his in a way. You know, that's what I realized is I can't just be a caricature of him. I've got to bring every bit of my own soul to this.
And if, honestly, when you, listeners, if you see this film, and I urge you to see this film, you will know what we're talking about. It really is an extraordinary merge between actor and character. It's phenomenal. Elvis Reborn, Austin Butler, is with me now. He stars in Elvis the Baz Luhrmann biopic, which is in cinemas on the 24th of June. And you've seen it in cinema. I think what he's done really cleverly is you can't wait to see this on the small screen because of all that split screen stuff he does.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't work on a small screen.
Yeah.
Like, it's built for the cinema.
On the big screen. It's built for the cinema, exactly. Yeah. It's a spectacle.
Listen, Austin, I love the idea of meeting you at this moment in your life because, you know, you were a successful actor. You were a jobbing actor, but you were very successful. You worked all the time. And now this thing has happened to you where you're now the star of this, you're in the new Dune movie, you're doing a big streaming thing. When did you feel a kind of a shift? Was it doing Iceman Cometh on Broadway?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've been working as an actor since I was 12, and a lot of the time you're just having to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And
you were doing really well.
I was doing things that I was really proud of, and but there was always this thing where the type of work that I wanted to do, I wasn't quite getting to do it. All those people that I looked up to as a kid, James Dean and Brando and De Niro and Leo, and like this world of really getting to be challenged as an actor, I hadn't quite been able to do that, and then I spent a period of time where I said, you know, I would rather not work than to do something that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
And then Iceman Cometh came up. So it had been about 8 months or something I didn't work, and then I did this play with Denzel on Broadway, and that changed everything for me. Suddenly then Quentin, you know, when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came up, he loves theater, and so we really bonded, and then I got to do that movie with him and Jim Jarmusch. I got to work with him, and now this, and so I just feel so grateful.
And is it true the thing about Denzel Washington calling Baz Luhrmann, and you didn't know at the time?
I didn't know, and I didn't speak to Denzel before or after, but he didn't even tell me he was going to do it. It was just out of the generosity of his own soul that he heard I was screen testing and he called Baz.
to say,
Yeah.
look out for this guy.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but when you were working with Denzel, because you know you've now worked with Denzel Washington, you've worked with Tom Hanks in this movie.
Yeah.
Do they? I guess it's a difficult thing because they don't want to be patronizing to you, but at the same time they see you at one end of your career and they're at the other. Yeah. Do they give you words of wisdom or? Yeah,
all of them. Brad, Leo, Denzel. They all have their things that they've sort of taken me under their wing in a way, you know, and which honestly it feels like a dream because these are all my heroes, and Denzel. There's many things. I mean, we were doing a play, so we had a ton of rehearsal time, and in the beginning, you know, I just went in there. I just said, you know, I'm not going to try to be his friend. I'm just going to try to do my job as well as I possibly can. So I memorized a 4-hour play before the first day of the table read for the rehearsal because I was terrified. And then I think he saw that dedication, and so he started going, you know, I got an idea for you. And he told me how Eugene O'Neill is similar to Shakespeare, and that you can sort of ride the rhythm of the text. And there was all these things, and just watching him on stage, how he never did the same scene the same way twice. You know, he always had this new life and this new presence, and it was incredibly powerful to watch. And I read an interview where you were talking about, you know, because you had so long. Yeah. Because there was a delay before the beginning, then there was a COVID delay in the middle. So you were Elvis for a very long time. And I read a thing where Tom Hanks gave you advice about not getting lost in Elvis. Yeah, and I really took that into the job I did after, because with Elvis it was all encompassing. I put my life on pause for 2 years, and I just because I knew how easy it is to slip into the feeling of being an imposter in that situation. And so I thought, well, I got to just figure out, how does Elvis brush his teeth? How does he get up in the morning? Like all the mundane things, and then building from the foundation up. And so Tom did say, he was like, you know what? I like to read something that has nothing to do with the job that I'm doing every day. And so now I try to balance life a little bit. Well, whatever you did, it worked. Austin Butler, run, don't walk to see him perform as Elvis in Elvis. It's in cinemas on the 24th of June. Huge congratulations to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Graham. All right.